Hello and welcome to the Edge Gaming channel. Today we've got a brilliant Star Wars Outlaws video for you where I tell you 10 things you need to know before you hit the galaxy with KVS and Nix. At 10 we've got the open world. This is supposedly the first open world Star Wars game ever made. However, you're right in thinking that Jedi Survivor was also an open world game, so I'm not quite sure where the media's got that from. Next up we've got number 9, the planets. Planets like Kijimi, for example, which is a frozen planet that used to be really spiritual until the rife trade of illegal spice, and was first seen in the Rise of the Skywalker movie. Next up, a fan favourite in Tatooine, which is home of the most wretched hive of scum and villainy. We've also got Akiva, a jungle planet which is ripe with rebellion at the time of the game's events. It is run by the Empire, but will at some stage in the Star Wars timeline be overthrown by the Rebel Alliance. It will be a brand new planet to those who have not read the stories of Star Wars Aftermath, for example, but if you haven't, don't worry, because it's a brand new planet. Speaking of brand new planets, we've got Tashara. Based on the African savannah of our world, this planet is again under Imperial control. However, corruption is ripe on this planet, allowing criminality to thrive. It is also the only brand new planet made for the game, just for the game. And lastly, we've got Cantonica, a desert planet, and it is the casino planet of the Star Wars universe, just like our very own Las Vegas, and has been featured in Star Wars media such as The Last Jedi, and interestingly, is where KVS grew up. Next, we've got Traversal at number 8. Kay has a very own speeder that can be called almost anywhere on each planet, allowing her to traverse in approximately 4 to 5 minutes, which is great for those gamers like myself that hate travelling long distances just to do simple quests. On top of that, speeder races are also available against other NPCs. Next up, the faction system. So, brand new to this Star Wars game is the faction system, where you will be tasked with completing missions for the different clans, and whether you do well or whether you upset other clans will depend on your reputation, and whether some missions are easier or much more difficult with you being tracked down by them. But enough of that, you need to know what the actual factions are. So we've got the Ashiga clan. We also have the Crimson Dawn, which famously had shown up in Star Wars A Han Solo Story, which, if you watch to the end credits, did feature Darth Maul. Now, I'm fully aware that at this point in the Star Wars timeline, Darth Maul is quite unalive. However, in a year where we have seen Star Wars witches in the Acolyte create life with nothing but the Force, we cannot rule out a Darth Maul cameo. However, I find it highly unlikely. Next up, we have the Pikes and the Hutts, which everyone knows the most famous Hutt is, of course, Jabba the Hutt, which is featured in this game. However, it is rumoured to be locked behind a paywall. Boo, Ubisoft. Next up, we have got number 6, contracts and arcades. So, starting with contracts. So, contracts, just like in the Assassin's Creed games made by Ubisoft, contracts in Star Wars Outlaws will help us not only gain credits, but with our reputations with the different syndicates, with such contracts including bounties and planting listing devices, which is really handy if you're stuck on a mission where you've got to get past a certain syndicate but your reputation is really bad. Do a couple of contracts and then you're going to turn that difficulty way down. Now, arcades. Similar to titles such as Cyberpunk 2077, arcade machines are going to be present in the game and will in fact be playable. Moving on to number 5, KVS and her weapons. So KVS has 3 forms of attack with her nifty little blaster, which is a standard blasting mode, a stun, which is going to be really effective in stealth, and an ion mode, which can be particularly handy against those tougher enemies. As mentioned before, Kay's main weapon is her blaster. However, that is not the only weaponry at her disposal. She is also able to use Nyx and herself to pick up lost weapons on the battlefield, meaning that we'll be able to use classic weapons such as the AC-300 blaster rifle and the E15 rifle, my personal favourite. Not to mention grenade launchers as seen in the IGN trailers. Next up, at number 5, we have got gambling. Now, in a title such as Star Wars Outlaws, gambling was to be expected. And in Star Wars Outlaws, we are able to do this in 2 forms that we know of so far. In Sabacc, which I can only describe as Star Wars Poker, which again is seen in Han Solo, A Star Wars Story. And we can also bet on races which involve a beast and a jockey. But be careful when entering these races, because you might be able to hear NPCs talking about how certain racers have rigged it and they will take a dive. So keep an ear out. Next up, we have got random events. Now, usually with the open world games, your interactions with NPC are very minimal. However, in Star Wars Outlaws, random events have been added so that, for instance, a shopkeeper may be getting harassed for credits by the Empire, and Kay can intervene, and if she makes the right decision, she will be rewarded with 50% off in a vendor's store, and that's just one version of that. Next up, with number 3, we have got experts. So, unlike other open world games where there are convoluted skill trees, Kay won't have to deal with this, and neither will the players. They instead will have to track down various experts within the game who can give her tasks, challenges, missions that can help improve her abilities and skills, not to mention the skills and weaponry of her ship. Next up, at number 2, we have got Nyx. So for Okay's adventure, she will be accompanied by her trusty sidekick Nyx. So those of you that are familiar with Gears 5, with the robot Jack, who could claim weapons and do a variety of attacks, the same is for Nyx. She can not only steal weaponry, but she can also distract and attack enemies just to help Kay get through those trickier sections of the game. And finally, the moment you've been waiting for, number 1, Zerek Besh. So, Zerek Besh are going to be the main antagonists of Star Wars Outlaws, and it is in fact the main group that Kay Vess betrays at the start of the game, putting them straight in their crosshairs for the majority of the campaign, with their leader Celera particularly hateful of Kay. Well, there you have it. There are 10 clear things that you need to know before playing Star Wars Outlaws. Thank you for listening. Do please like, comment and subscribe, and may the Force be with you.